Hello everyone, and welcome to this webinar about the stock count feature in Ultimo. My name is Kalle Ilsink and I'm one of the product owners at Ultimo. And I'm really excited to tell you more about this new feature. So first we start with the why. Why is it important to have stock counts in place in your warehouse? Regular counts can reduce the order errors and can prevent overstocking or stock out. But also by detecting discrepancy early, warehouse managers can prevent theft, damage, or other losses. And accurate stock data can help you to enable you to make better decisions, optimize storage, and can streamline your processes and cutting costs. So now I'm going to explain what the functionality consists of. So what are the functionality of stock count? And the first feature for stock count is that we have implemented the ABC code. And the ABC codes are required for defining parts, but also to use cycle count. And I will come back to that later. And with the new functionality, you can now generate stock count lists. So based on some search criteria, you can generate stock counts. And for example, on the ABC code. And we also have added a new overview screen where you have information of the parts and the warehouse location in one single screen. In previous versions of Ultimo, you have a selection list of your parts, but the location of the information about the location is stored in a different tab. So it was very hard to find the correct data. Now we have combined it to one single screen. You can use that screen also for creating new stock count lists, and you can do that with a bulk action. And with this search criteria that you have in the selection list, you can use the selection list for multiple stock counting methods. And I will explain it during this webinar. And we have also updated our barcode scanner app, which now includes a stock count feature, where you can process a stock count through the barcode scanner. First, I want to explain something more about the ABC code. ABC codes can classify parts based on their importance. So maybe on parts that has a higher value, which enables you to more efficient allocation of time and resources during the stock count. So maybe you only want to focus on items that you want to count based with a high value. Or maybe only that counted longer than an X period ago. And we assigned ABC codes automatically. And to do that, we need some information. So the number of stock adjustments, so how many times is this item used in the job materials, but multiplied by the price. And that's the internal settlement price of a specific part. And based on that information, based on that calculation, we assign the parts to a specific category. So by default, the A, B, and C. And it's based on some threshold. So every the A category is 80% or more, B is 15, and C is 5%. So we have implemented a new master data screen for the ABC codes, where you can add the ABC code. And by default, we already have added the A, B, and C. And at this store, you can assign them to a specific part or part plus site. And it is depending on which setting you have enabled in your environment. So some customers are using stock control per site. And then in that case, the ABC code will be assigned to the part plus site. Because it can happen that you have the same part, but in a different site, it will be more used, or maybe the price is higher on that specific site. So the calculation can be different. So that's why if you have the stock control per site setting enabled, the ABC codes will be assigned to the part plus site. It is also possible to add additional ABC codes. Maybe the name is not correct anymore, ABC codes, but you can add D or E to your master data. We've also automatically assigning ABC implemented, because if you have a long list of different parts, it can be very hard to calculate it by yourself. So that's why we have implemented a new workflow scheduler that runs automatically every month, and it will assign automatically based on the stock adjustment and the internal settlement price of specific parts. We will assign the ABC codes automatically. And because it's a workflow scheduler, you can change the interval. By default, it's once a month, but you can change that. Also, the thresholds can be adjusted by somebody that have access to the ABC codes. And the thresholds, what I showed, was by default 80, 15, and 5%, but you can change that. Also, if you add more ABC codes, you have to change that because it must be calculated to, it must be in total 100%. And the last thing of ABC codes is that we have added a frequency. So per ABC code, you can add frequency. So the A articles that are the most important articles of your organization, you can assign them with an A part, and you say, I want to count this A category items every month. And for B, every 6 months, and C, every year. And you can change that in the master data screen. So now I will go over to the demonstration for the new stock count functionality. The new stock count functionality is part of the warehouse menu. In the stock management part, you have the new screen where you can see the existing ones and you can create a new stock count. So now I will create a stock count for April. I select the warehouse and you see that it is mandatory and I only can select one specific warehouse. I can assign an employee to it. I can use an ABC code to search for, and I can assign a cost center that will be used by the stock adjustment. After that, I can use the button Generate Stock Count Lines, and the items will be added automatically to this list. So you see the warehouse was mandatory, and you only can select one specific warehouse. So you can do a stock count per warehouse. Now, it generates the stock count lines based on that information. So only based on the warehouse, all items of this warehouse are be added to this list. But you see in the list, also in the middle, the ABC codes. And this is related with the frequency. So only items, so if B category is 6 months, the frequency is 6 months. Only items that longer than 6 months ago are counted for the last time will be added to this list. So for example, if you have some B items that are counted last week or last month, those will not be added to this list. So that you have only the focus on items that must be counted. And there are some options in this stock count screen. And I don't know if you can see it, but the blind count, it's optional. You can set it manually. And the real-time stock count and recount options are protected. So you cannot set that manually, but I will explain those later. First, I want to give some information about blind count. You can use blind count. It's by default, it is enabled to ensure that the one who is counting must go to the specific location and cannot copy current stock information to the counted quantity. But sometimes you don't want, or you want to give information about the stock. So then you can enable or disable blind count and it will show you the stock information. And now when I enable the blind count again, the stock is gone off this list. When you generate the stock count lines based on the warehouse menu, I can imagine that the list can be very long, especially when you are doing this for the first time and there is no latest date of count, and it is a very long list. So that's why we have implemented a new screen, that is the article warehouse location, where you see the information about specific items and the location information. So in this example, the top is 2, the air filter, it's the same item, but it is stored in different locations. But you have all the information in one single screen. And you can also use the screen to start a new stock count. So you have the possibilities, the filter possibilities of the selection list. So I will open the filter panel. And now, for example, I want to count only items that are part of the technical warehouse. And maybe I want to do a near zero count. So I want only where the stock is lower than 5. and I want only to add C items. Or maybe I want to count items that are part of a specific rack in your warehouse or a specific lane. And then I can use the warehouse location description that I only want to add items that are part of the location starts with 0, 1. So I have a result of 3 in this case, and I can start a bulk adjustment. And now I can make a detailed selection. Maybe I can unselect or select items that I want to add. And now I can add it to an existing stock count, or I can start a new stock count. And when I started a new stock count, I go back to my stock count screen, and now there is a new stock count created with those 3 items. Also, the warehouse is automatically assigned to this stock count because it's a mandatory field. It can also happen that you select more than one specific warehouse in your screen, because when the stock count is related to one single stock count of one warehouse, but the selection list consists of all the items of different warehouses. So based on the founded warehouses, so for example, your selection consists of 3 warehouses, and you will create a new stock count, 3 new stock counts will be created. So each warehouse gets its own specific stock count. And that's also applying when you add items to an existing one. So only the items that are part of the same warehouse as in the stock count will be added. And we will inform the user that with a text message that only maybe 3 of the 5 founded items are added to the stock count. Now I switch back to the other stock count that has a bit more data, so it gets a bit more information about the functionality or better impression of the functionality. And I will continue with this stock count. So now it's in the status open. And now I can activate the stock count. You see that all the buttons that are not possible in that specific situation, I cannot press it. And you see that the quantity column is now open. And now I can print the stock count. So when I do it on paper, I can print the stock count. And you see here all the information of the location and the part of that should be counted. And a field to fill in the counted quantity. So you can use this paper to do it up front, and then you can copy the data in Ultimo. But it is very important to explain the process of when you process a stock count on paper. Because when you process a stock count on paper, it's very important that you block the warehouse or close the warehouse, or at least the area that you are going to count in. So for example, if I want to count in a specific lane or specific rack, I have to block that specific rack or lane. Because I fill it in on paper and not in Ultimo directly. So it's already old information if I fill it in on paper. So that's why the warehouse should be closed. When I start a new stock count, so in this example, this item has a stock of 5. So by activating it is 5, then I should close the warehouse. In that specific moment, I go to the specific locations and I will fill it in on paper the counted quantity. But we want that the time of closing the warehouse is short as possible. So that's why we have to make it possible to open the warehouse again when you have everything filled in on paper. So in this case, I have a list, and I have the list is completed now on paper, and then I can open the warehouse again. It is not a problem that after that, somebody, for example, an engineer, grabs an item out of the warehouse. And the stock will be changed. If the job material line will be approved, the stock will be changed to 4. But it is not important, because when you're entering it in Ultimo, and that can maybe at the end of the day or the day after, when you fill it in Ultimo, we do a calculation of the stock count. And we do that by the difference between the counted quantity, that was 5, and what it was by activating the stock count. So in this case, it was also 5. So the difference is 0. So the time between when it was closed and when you fill it in Ultimo, there is no problem that there are that engineers grabs items out of the warehouse. So the new stock will become 4, but the difference is 0. So when you close the stock count, we will create a stock adjustment, but because the difference is 0, the new stock remains 4. So you fill in everything in Ultimo. So I fill it in paper, and now I will copy it to Ultimo. And you can also finish a stock count partially. So I fill in some of the items, and then I press the button Finish Stock Count. But there are some items that have a quantity 0. So that's why Ultimo asks me if I also want to process the quantity of 0 line, of the lines that has a quantity 0. Now I say no, and I go continue. At a later moment, at the end of the day or another moment, I can do the other ones. And now I finish the stock count, and when the latest stock count line is finished, the whole stock count will be finished. And now I cannot change the quantity anymore, but it is also ensuring that nobody else can change the quantity. And now you see that there is some value added, of data added to those two columns, the difference and the value. And the difference I ordered now by in descending order. And it's good to mention that we calculate the difference always to a positive number. This is not the difference that I showed for creating the stock adjustment, but this is only for you to have a better information about the difference, what it is during the stock count. So in this case, the difference is always be calculated to a positive number, because then it is easier to do an order by. Otherwise, you have the highest positive numbers at the top, but also a high difference, but in a negative number at the bottom of this list. So the order by is not correct anymore. So that's why we always calculate the difference to a positive number. And then you can order by, for example, by in descending order, and then you see the high differences. At the column value, you see the information about the value. So that's the difference multiplied by the items of the internal settlement price. And you see there are negative numbers. And you can use this information, the difference and the value, to select items that I want to count again. So now I have 3 items selected to count again. And I go to the stock adjustment because I closed this stock count. And only the items that has not count again selected are added to the stock adjustment. And you see that this new adjustment type is added of stock count. So for reporting, you have a better overview. And there is a new stock count created automatically with the option recount automatically and already in the status in progress. So you cannot add another lines to it, but you can assign another employee to it. So maybe if you want that somebody else must do the recount, you can select another employee. So this is the process when you do a stock count on paper. And now I want to explain the process of doing the stock count with the barcode scanner app. Good to mention that the preparation of a stock count must be done in the Ultimo web. So you cannot create lists or selections in the barcode scanner app, but you can only select existing ones. So the preparation of stock counts must be done in Ultimo, but when it is active, you can select it here in the barcode scanner app. And you see here the home screen of the barcode scanner app. So it's also consisting of the other menus of the warehouse. And now we have added number 5, stock count feature. And now when I open number 5, I go to the stock count screen and I can select a stock count. So I can search for active stock counts. So you see here, there's one in progress. Now we'll open it and I will see the information about the warehouse and the employee. And now I can start counting. And you see the stock count lines, and it gives you information about the item, but also about the location. And now you can fill in the quantity. So I can fill in the quantity and press enter. And you see that the line will disappear automatically, and it will jump the cursor will jump automatically to the next line. So you can get very fast through this list. So now I will go through this list. And when you finish the last one, it automatically goes back to the previous screen. And the start counting is replaced by close stock count. And you can close the stock count now. And you go back automatically to the home screen of your barcode scanner. So you can do this very fast with the barcode scanner app. I want to give some more information about processing a stock count by a barcode scanner, because we don't support in the barcode scanner a username and passwords. So every user or every employee in your warehouse uses the same barcode scanner app without a username and password. So we don't see, or Ultimo doesn't see, which user is logged in. So every stock count will be processed by the barcode scanner app. And it's good to mention that the traceability of, you cannot see what the traceability is to a specific employee. And that's why it's very important to mention this. And I think it should be an internal process that you can assign a stock count to a specific employee, and that you have to be aware that you only perform stock counts that are assigned to you. And if it is not, then you can change the employee to it. And then you have a kind of traceability. For the other one, for authorization, it's the same, because we cannot authorize specific users, because every barcode scanner of every user uses the barcode scanner as one single user. So we cannot set up authorization per user, but you can change some authorization specific for that barcode scanner app user. So for example, of closing a stock count. When you close the stock count, a stock adjustment will be created. And not every customer wants that is the case. So that's why we have implementing some application elements where you can assign or authorize the barcode scanner app user. So you can decide if you want to close a stock count on a barcode scanner, or you don't want to make that possible. But it is good to mention that if you authorize it, every user of every employee that uses the barcode scanner can close stock counts. When you finish the first line in a stock count on a barcode scanner, it will be set the real-time stock count option automatically. So you don't have to do anything for it. But if you open it on the barcode scanner and you finish the first line, this setting will automatically assign. It also prevents that you cannot fill in quantity in the Ultimo web application anymore. So you can only enter quantities or in the barcode scanner or in Ultimo web. So it's also the other way around. So when I fill in Ultimo some quantities and then finish the stock count lines, I cannot continue with this stock count on the barcode scanner. Of course, you can change the statuses in different, statuses in Ultimo web if you are performing the stock count on the barcode scanner, but you cannot assign quantities, or you cannot enter quantity. And let me explain why this cannot be the case. Because when you perform a stock count on a barcode scanner, the calculation of the difference column is different when you do a real-time stock count. Because when you do a stock count on the barcode scanner, you don't have to close the warehouse. Because on that specific moment, you have already information in Ultimo, and you have when there is a Wi-Fi connection, at least, you have a direct link to Ultimo. So when you start the stock count on the barcode scanner, you can set it to active. And after that, it is not a problem that an engineer grabs an item out of the warehouse. So the current stock will become 4 in this case. And after that specific moment, you come to that specific location to count. And at that specific moment, you count 4. And at that moment, we calculate the difference between the counted quantity and the current stock. So that's why you cannot mix up the fill in the quantities on the web and in the barcode scanner, because the calculation is different. But this will ensure you to do a real-time stock count if you perform it on a barcode scanner, and that you don't have to block the warehouse, but you can do a real-time stock count and you can leave the you can keep the warehouse open. After that, the difference is 0. So we create a stock adjustment with quantity 0. So the new stock remains 4 in this case. So this was the presentation and demonstration about the new stock count functionality. And now I want to give you some additional information. The new stock count functionality is only available in Ultimo Cloud. So only Ultimo Cloud Azure rolling release customers gets this new functionality. It is a standard functionality and it is part of Professional, Premium and Enterprise. So if you have one of those packages, you don't have to buy additional licenses, but it is part of the Professional, Premium and Enterprise package. The manual stock count without ABC frequency, but including the barcode scanner app, is already available at your production and also test environments. So after this webinar, you can start directly with creating new stock counts. So manual stock count is everything what I showed you in the live demonstration, but not with the ABC frequency. So if you now added some items to the stock count lines, every item will be added automatically. So the ABC frequency is not taken into account yet. That is something that we want to implement or release in the upcoming weeks. And also the automatically assigning ABC codes. So with the workflow event, that's something we want to release in the upcoming weeks. Also, I want to give you some more information about the hardware of barcode scanners. We do that together with our partner Actimium, formerly known as Opal. And together with them, we have selected some items that we are support. So these items we are now supporting. The one on the left, the Zebra TC58, is a new one and that we are now supported. And if you want to have more information about the hardware, you can contact our partner and they can give you more information about this hardware. And now I will switch to the questions. So let me look at the questions. There's already a question when this functionality will be added. Will it need manual changes or will it be done automatically? The first functionality, what I already explained, the functionality will become available. You don't have to do anything about it. Only the assigning of ABC codes. We are considering what to do with that specific event. Maybe you only have to activate the specific workflow to assign the ABC codes automatically. But now you can already start a new stock count and you don't have to do anything for that. It's already available on the stock management menu. And another question is, stock count is not implemented in Go. Now, in this specific moment, it is not implemented in the Ultimo Go, only on the barcode scanner, because all the other functions of the warehouse functionalities are now part of the barcode scanner and not yet in the Ultimo Go. So that's why we have now implemented only at the barcode scanner. And we are considering what to do if, for warehouse functionalities in the Go, but for now it's not on the roadmap. Another question, how do you set up the ABC automatically? That's a workflow scheduler, but it is not part yet of your environment. So that will become available in the upcoming weeks. For existing customers, it's a workflow event. So maybe you can ask your application manager or consultant to activate that event when it is available in your environment. Another question, is it possible to select more than one row with a checkbox in all selection lists in the standard cloud environments? You mean by the, I don't know if I understand the question correctly, but I'm assuming that you mean the by doing a bulk adjustment. I have to check it if it is possible to do that. It's good to mention, maybe I cannot read every question, but we're saving this question. So if I'm not answering your question right now, we will come back to you in another moment. There's another question about the Ultimo Go. I think I'll already answer that one. When calculating the consumption of an article for the ABC code, is only the data from articles where the stock is changed by a job included, or also the articles where the stock is changed manually? It is calculated by the stock adjustments, and stock adjustments can be created manually or it can be created by a job. Another question, if I want to use the barcode scanner app for spare parts, is this possible, and how to implement this in our organization? I think I have to contact you to tell you more about spare parts, but that's a different topic from here. Yeah, it's related to the Go. If there is in the future, maybe it's good to mention that we are considering to implement Ultimo Web, that it will be more responsive, that it is also available at our Ultimo Go screens, in the mobile screens. So that's why we now don't implement it on the Ultimo Go, because we are considering to make it more possible to add the functionality to the web, where it goes automatically works on mobile devices. But that's not related to specific to this item, but is related to our approach of how do we see the Ultimo Go and Ultimo Web. But we want to, in the future, that it becomes one application. But that's not for now. It's on the roadmap for later. So maybe in the future we can add this functionality also to mobile screens. Another question, we have already zebra scanners for our warehouse. Can we find the barcode scan in the Google Play Store? No, it's not part of the Play Store, but you can contact our support department and they will can give you the installation packages, or you can contact your implementation partner or consultant that can help you to start up with this one. I think that these are the questions. And what I said, we will look into the questions. If I missed it, I will come back to you on a later moment. For now, thank you very much for watching. And if you have any other question, please contact your sales manager, consultant, or our support department. Thank you very much.